Hey guys, gals, and NBs, I have an interesting comparison today, and what I'm going to be doing is comparing my favorite, I guess you would call them compact or small box reverbs, and that'll be the Walrus Audio Slower right here, the Strymon Cloudburst, and the Eventide Blackhole, and they're all fantastic in their own way, but since the holidays are coming up, and I'm sure that some people want some reverbs out there and want some, good comparisons, I'm going to do that. I have a blooper here, which I'll be using to make a loop, so it'll be the same throughout until I do some of my improvisations. But yeah, this should be pretty fun. So let's go over the signal chain really quick and then get started. So the microfreak here is going into the blooper, mono out of the blooper into the cloudburst. Now the cloudburst is going stereo out into the black hole. The black hole has TRS inputs, and the cloudburst has TRS outputs and inputs. So generally you need a splitter, a TRS or a T and S to TRS splitter, but that's being handled by the black hole because it'll take stereo in through a single jack. That's going out stereo, 2 channels into the slower. And then the slower is going into my mixer / multi-track recorder. I'm going to go ahead and record a quick loop. So let's start here. Okay, that should work. And I have these all kind of set up as their own things. So let me just stop the loop really quick and explain. I kind of have these set up in the way that I like them, and they're pretty samey. They're obviously going to sound different because they're different reverb algorithms, but yeah, I have the filters down a little bit except on the black hole because the black hole is very dark in terms of its reverb quality, its tonal characteristics. Tone is rolled off a little on the cloudburst, and a little bit of filters added on the slower. And the slower has a resonant filter from what I can tell. But here, all right, let's start. We're in the dream mode on the slower. All right, as you can hear, they all sound absolutely fantastic, but they're all very different. So let's go over a little bit of the differences and what they can do. What are their, really their strengths? And I believe the slower strength is in more of its lo-fi qualities. The cloudburst is very ambient and very pristine. And the black hole is also very pristine, but it's ambient and a little bit on the darker side. So both the cloudburst and the slower have the ability to do some kind of pitch shifting. The cloudburst has its ensemble mode, and the slower obviously has the dark and light mode. And yeah, let's just hear those really quick. So yeah, they each have their own characteristics when it comes to some kind of pitch shifting. The Cloudburst isn't really pitch shifting. It's more of it branches out the frequencies and then adds just extra harmonics to it, but it sounds like pitch shifting. And it's pretty cool. It kind of gives you an orchestra over everything. And that one I really like. And the pitch shifting is pretty basic on the Sloer. And the Sloer's pitch shifting sounds pretty decent for what it is, especially its low octave pitch shifting. It's wonderful. And then we have the Blackhole, which does not have any pitch shifting, but it has a reverse mode, which is kind of cool. Here, let's listen to that. So yeah, each have unique features. So as pricing goes, though, the Blackhole is the cheapest out of the bunch, and you can get it used for around, I've seen for under $200 easily. Cloudburst is about, I think it's $270 at the time of making this video. You'll have to look around. And the Sloer is the most expensive at $349. But yeah, again, I really like them, and they all sound just different in their own way. And so let's do one other thing really quick before I move on to doing pads instead of the pluck sound. So because people will want to hear it, I have them kind of set to where I had them to begin with. And we're going to turn them all on. I should also mention that they can all do completely wet, so. I guess the Cloudburst can't do completely wet with the mix on the device? Huh, that's interesting. I thought they could. Alright, so the Cloudburst can't. Okay, I have a quick correction. So yeah, it'll do completely wet from the mix knob, but what you have to do is in one of its power-up menus, you have to set the through signal to be digital instead of analog. And I had it set to analog. So yeah, just to prove that that works. So here we go. Just. So yeah, no differences between any of the pedals. They all do analog, or wet, I should say, 100% wet. All right, the Blackhole definitely can. Very interesting. I really did think the Cloudburst could do completely wet in from the mix knob by itself. I know it has a kill dry. I believe it has a kill dry. So yeah, that might be the odd one out, but I don't think that's a big deal for many people. yeah, I'll have to look at the manual and potentially change the information in the comments. But yeah, the Blackhole and the Sloer can definitely do 100% wet mix directly on the pedals without having to go into like any menu option and do a kill dry. But yeah, that's cool. So let's move on to using a pad and see what they sound like. I'm obviously not going over each of the settings on each of them because then this video would be too long. I do have individual videos, I believe, for all of these, so you just have to look for them. But here I have this. Oh, that's not the right one. Here we go. We'll use my noise pad. And while it doesn't sound very cool by itself, when you add some reverb, it sounds amazing. All right, well, let's get started. I will set these back to 50-50 mix. Right around there, let's do that. Let's start with the Cloudburst. Cool. All right. Let's move over to Blackhole. Onto the Sloer. All really do very good jobs in pads, obviously. So yeah, they're all great. Again, it's kind of the sound you're looking for. Yeah, the only other thing that I want to throw out that is different on all of them, well, I shouldn't say all of them. The Cloudburst is the odd one out again. But here, we'll use my pluck again. So both the Blackhole and the Sloer have the ability to change the depth and rate of the modulation. The Cloudburst it's an all-in-one knob. It does depth and rate like together. So we'll see that. With Sloer, in Dream, you have two modulation sources. X is a vibrato. And then we have our normal modulation here. And we can change the rate by holding bypass. And also, on Sloer, you can change the types of the LFO waveform. So, by default, Dream, so you see the different modulation types. So we have a sine wave. You hold down bypass again. We have a up ramp, down ramp, square, and random. Random is my favorite to use. Turn the depth down, but have the speed all the way up. You can see. And it sounds fantastic. Now, Blackhole has secondary functions, and you use the shift control to get to them. You just press the shift control, and now size and low become depth and rate. I keep it around there. And then obviously Cloudburst just has the single knob. But I think all the settings on Cloudburst for the mod knob sound good. Okay, I take it back again, all the way up until right around here. So right around 3 o'clock it gets a little crazy. I usually keep it around there. So yeah. So that's my broad overview between all of these fantastic small box reverbs. I was going to call this like a single algorithm reverb, but that'd be unfair for the Sloer because the Sloer has multiple algorithms. I mean, I'm guessing that they're all very different because you have one that's a multi-tap, you have some other things in there, but yeah. They all sound fantastic. They all have separate price points. I would say that the Blackhole and the Cloudburst are definitely kind of in the same price bracket. The Sloer is the most expensive. For my personal taste, I like them all. The Sloer is definitely the least high fidelity sounding out of all of them, and with the stretch mode, because that changes the clock speed, you can get very dirty reverbs out of it. Cloudburst is probably the most pristine and bright sounding out of them, even with tone shaping. And I should say that the Blackhole has more tone shaping controls than all of them. This is a basic filter. This has a tone control. This has both low and high, so you can extenuate the high frequencies and the low frequencies. I don't think it's a full dampening control. It's kind of just like a reverb inside, an equalization curve inside of the feedback loop or something along those lines, but it gives you a lot of control. So yeah, the tone controls are slightly different. This has a resonant filter. This tone control just sounds awesome. I mean, we could go over it really quick. Blackhole also has resonance control. Yeah, so they're all very different on the filtering capabilities. Blackhole has the most filtering capabilities, I believe, out of all of them. I mean, it's just Blackhole has the most options out of, I believe, all of them. That's just how I'm going to put it in. It's very easy to access them all. Sloer is probably second, and Cloudburst is kind of one of those Apple-esque reverbs, I guess. You just kind of use what you have, and you don't really have too many functionality controls outside of what you're given. That said, they all, again, sound fantastic. So I'd love to hear what anybody thinks of these. What is your favorite reverb? How about you just give me a comment on what your favorite reverb is? And if you like this video and you like these kind of videos, how about you subscribe to my channel? And thank you for watching.